You are welcome to the Scholar Online class.
The Scholar School, we establish our footprints on the sand of time. You can't afford to miss any bits of this class. Experience the difference.
Good day. You're welcome to another section of the Scholar Online class, and I'm your tutor, Miss Fatima. So today we'll be doing continuation of what we treated last time. We're doing alternative to practical biology for those that are writing GCE. So in our last section, we treated different phylum from specimen A, specimen B, specimen C, specimen D, E, F, G, and H, where we looked at the phylum, the kingdom, the classification, the adaptive features, the similarities, the differences. We looked at specimen A, which was our weevil damage being sieged, where we looked at the classification of the weevil, looked at the kingdom it belonged, and so on and so forth. So today we'll be treating specimen H, J, K, L, and M, whereby our specimen H is the head of domestic fowl complete. Specimen J is the quail feather. Specimen K is the leg of domestic fowl complete also. Specimen L is the head of duck complete, while specimen M is the leg of our duck also complete. So we'll be treating specimen H first, which is the head of domestic fowl complete. Now, for specimen H, which is the domestic fowl, it belongs to the kingdom Animalia, it belongs to the phylum Chordata because they have backbone, and it belongs to the class Apes because they are warm-blooded. Now, what you should notice about this phylum listed is that all of them they belong to the kingdom Animalia, because the quail feather belongs to animals that belongs to the kingdom Animalia and phylum Chordata. Those are the organisms and animals that have quail feather. Also, leg of domestic fowl, which is also like specimen H, but that's the head of the domestic fowl. So all these specimens, they all belong to the kingdom Animalia and they belong to the phylum Chordata. Moving forward, as I was explaining earlier, specimen H, which is the head of the domestic fowl, is a terrestrial organism. That means they are found on land. They are terrestrial organisms. Now, for the head of this domestic fowl, you will notice the head, the mouth, and the mouth is modified into sharp beak. Now this beak is used for feeding, drinking, grasping objects, playing, and also for defense from predators and prey. So anytime an organism is ready to hunt that of this domestic fowl, they make use of their beak for what? For defense, for protection from their prey. Now this head, it has no external ear, and their eyeball is covered by eye ring. Now in the drawing of this, you notice the comb, you will notice the nose strip, and you will notice the sharp beak, which I explained earlier, that is used for what? For feeding on grains majorly. It is used for feeding and tearing also. You will notice the tongue, you will notice the trachea, you will notice the eyelid, and I said the eye is covered by what? Eye ring. You will notice the eye, you will notice the third eyelid, you will notice the glottis, you will notice the esophagus, and you notice the infraorbital sinus. You notice the infraorbital sinus also. So those are the parts of the head of the domestic fowl, which is labeled above that you can see. Now, moving forward, we'll be looking at specimen J. As I said earlier, specimen J also, they belong to organisms that are classified under the kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata because they have backbone, and class Aves because they are what? They are warm-blooded animals. Now, as I explained earlier, this quail feather, they belong to organisms that are also what? Terrestrial organisms. You can find them in organisms that are also terrestrial organisms. And they make use of this quail feather for insulation, that's balancing the body temperature. They make use of it for protection. They make use of it for camouflaging. That's when they are hiding from their predators, or they are hiding from when they want to what? Feed on other organisms when they themselves are the prey. So they make use of this their quail feather for what? For camouflaging. They also make use of it for what? Waterproofing. That's during rainy season. Instead of the rain to hit their skin directly, this quail feather helps to what? Prevents the water from penetrating deep into the skin and affecting their body temperature. So it serves as waterproof. It also helps them in hiding from their prey, like I said, also for protection, and it protects the skin. they make use of this screw feather for protection of the skin. Now, organisms that have this screw feather include the pigeon, the duck, the turkey, and also our eagle. All these organisms they have what screw feather. This screw feather can also be used as pen. Back in those days, it was also used as pen for writing. So those are the things that you should explain in details when you are being asked during your alternative to practical in biology. Now, for the labeling of our screw feather, you notice the notch, the van, the rachis, the barbs, the calamus, the proximal umbilicus, then the downy barb, and you also notice the feather tip, which is always at the edge or at the tip of the feather. The feather tip is usually at the tip of the feather. Again, like I said earlier, for the labeling, and because you might be asked, you even be asked to draw. So you will draw the quill feather and you will label it by pointing out the notch, the van, the rachis, the barbs, the calamus, the downy barb, the feather tip, and the proximal umbilicus. So those are the things that you should note out when you are drawing and labeling your quill feather. Moving forward, we'll be looking at specimen K. Is the leg of our domestic fowl complete, meaning the feet should also be there intact. Now, for the specimen K, they also belong to the kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, like I said earlier, because of they have backbone, class Aves, because they are warm-blooded. And when you have the leg of the domestic fowl, you will notice that they have claws. They have claws, sharp claws, which is used for what? Scratching, tearing, holding, digging, and climbing trees. And it is also present in eagles. For the labeling of our specimen K, we are expected to note out with a well-labeled diagram the metatarsus, the metatarsal spore, the accessory metatarsus, the metatarsus fold, the metatarsal pad, the interpad space, the lateral interdigital web, the intermediate interdigital web, and also the claws, which is very important, like I said earlier, and they make use of their claws for tearing, ripping, digging, and it is also present in eagle. Apart from our domestic fowl, they can also be found in eagle. We'll be looking at our specimen L, and like as I said earlier, that all these specimens listed, they all belong to the same kingdom, same phylum, and same class. And I said they belong to kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, and class Aves, because they are what? They are warm-blooded animals, organisms. Now, moving forward, this specimen, the head of the duck, it has slender beak, and the beak is used for sucking water, eating, feeding, and breaking food. Their beak is very strong, and it can break down seed so that they can easily feed on it. Now, they also have nasal opening close to their beak, and when drawing this specimen, the head of the duck, you should also point out the neck, the nape, the crown, which is not really obvious, then the forehead, the column, the nostril, and the upper beak, the beak, and the lower beak. Also, they are all present in the head of this duck. So we'll be looking at specimen M, which is the leg of the duck. The leg of the duck, which was specimen M. Now, in the leg of the duck, you will notice web toes, and it is designed like a paddle so that they can move freely in aquatic habitats, and it helps to prove more surface area to push against water and help them swim and survive in aquatic habitat. Like I said earlier, they have scaled legs. You notice that their leg is scaled. And another thing is they don't have sharp claws. Why? Because they feed on water. They take their nutrients, their food, their organisms that we feed on, they take it from water, and they make use of their beak for breaking, not for tearing like domestic fowl. So in their leg, you will notice that there is no sharp claws because they don't use it for tearing, but they have scaled legs and they have web toes so that they can swim freely in aquatic habitats. Now, you might be asked that, okay, what is the similarities between specimen K, which is the leg of domestic fowl, and specimen M, which is the leg of duck. Now, one similarities between both of them is they are both birds. Another one is they both have feathers, they both have backbone, and they are both warm-blooded animals. So both specimen A and specimen B, they also belong to the same kingdom and phylum. Now, you might also be asked that what is the difference between specimen H and specimen L? Specimen H is the head of our domestic fowl, while specimen L is the head of our duck. Now for specimen H, which is the head of our domestic fowl, they have pointed and sharp beak, which is used for tearing. While specimen L, which is the head of our duck, they have slender beak, which is used for what? For breaking food and for sucking also. Another difference between specimen H and L is specimen H, they make use of their beak for what? For picking. While specimen L, they make use of their beak for sucking. Another one is specimen H, they have sharp claws. That's what they use for what? For tearing. While specimen L, they have web foot. They don't have claws, they have web foot for swimming and surviving in aquatic habitats. Another difference is that specimen H, they have sharp beak. Like I said earlier, they use it for tearing. While specimen L, they have slender beak, and they make use of their sharp beak for tearing and scratching. While specimen L, they make use of their feet for swimming because of the web tool that is there. But for specimen H, they make use of their feet for what? Scratching and tearing organisms. That's why they have sharp claws, to make it easy for them. These specimen listed, they have adaptive features that make them survive in their environment and in their habitat. And one of the adaptive features is rotation of their feather, which help them in situation. Possession of web tools, that's in case of dog, that makes it easy for them to swim. Then possession of sharp beak, which helps them to protect themselves from their predators. Also, they make use of their wings for flight. But for the case of chicken and duck, they can't really fly long distance, but they can make use of their wings to escape also from predators. So those are the adaptive features. With this and what we've done so far, we've gotten to a good end, and we wish you all the best in your upcoming alternative practical. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends so that they can also learn from this section. Thank you.